By the end of this video, I want you to understand why you can never let anyone do this to you. But first, as always, subscribe and stick around to the end to implement these tips and tricks into your life. Now, when I was very, very young and self-improvement was hardly even a thing to me, I was given a book. And unlike all the other self-improvement related books that have been given to me and I found so much use out of, this book was actually more of a detriment to me. And it's because this book was about careers. Now, that might be really well and really good and useful for some people, but for me, it wasn't. And that's because I'd always had dreams of owning a business and being an entrepreneur from a very young age. And I was prophesied by my family that I'd be the millionaire and the rich person of the family, and somehow my brain knew that I would only ever be able to achieve this by owning a business and rather than going through like a career path and stuff like that. And so I was told to look for careers in this book that would interest me, and none of them really did. None of them did, and I knew that the salary that I would get from this from these career paths wouldn't be enough to make me a millionaire. And so I was told to like find careers and find jobs, and I had to write them down on a piece of paper, like 5 or 6 that would interest me. And no matter how many times I like kind of flipped through the book, the section on business and entrepreneurship never came up. And so eventually I picked maybe 5 or 6 careers that would be nice and interesting to me. And yeah, that was it. And over time, my dreams of businesses and entrepreneurship sort of started to kind of whittle away and just died down. Essentially, I had the adventure beaten out of me because the adventure was to either own a business and earn money and then go on loads of adventures when I was older because I had the time and the freedom to do so. And this doesn't have to just relate to money, because some people have always dreamed of doing like a job and doing a career. Some people dream of being a doctor. Some people dream of being like a biologist and stuff like that from a very young age, and that is perfectly fine. I'm not saying that you should always dream of like owning a business and stuff, but for me, from a very young age, just like you maybe with the job, I always had dreams of owning a business, but I had that adventure beaten out of me, and you shouldn't have yours beaten out of you too. Because if you kind of look on the street, if you go outside and stuff, you may see that some of the people on there just don't look like they have much adventure in their life at all. With all the kind of school systems, the full-time jobs and the 9-to-5s, the stringent routines, they look like they don't adventure that much because these schools, these 9-to-5s, they use up a lot of your energy, and companies and stuff, they want all your energy to go towards working for them, and then the rest of the time, you're kind of almost recovering from your work, which is a phrase that I've seen a lot of people just in the real world kind of use. And I think I might be the first person in the self-improvement space to ever actually say this, and it's the fact that you should break your routines. Many people think that you should adhere stringently to like your school routine, your job routine, or even your kind of self-improvement business routine, or just your self-improvement routine in general. But some days, I genuinely think that you should do something new. And this is as a disclaimer that you should never return to what your old routine may have previously been. For instance, if you've been on self-improvement, you may have like changed up your morning routine to do a workout or some meditation. Instead of not doing the meditation and the working out or whatever, you shouldn't return to your old routine of going on social media and just kind of watching videos and scrolling and stuff like that. Because that's not really an adventure, is it? That's breaking the routine, but that's breaking the routine to your detriment. It's not breaking the routine for your own benefit. You should break a routine to conquer something. There should be a day where you completely abandon your routine, whether it's school or whether it's work or it's like a weekend or something, and you go do something completely new and just conquer it. Maybe you should like climb a mountain or go on a massive hike or a run or something and just conquer the task that you have set for yourself for the day and conquer the adventure that you're going to do. Because self-improvement in itself is almost an adventure. You get into self-improvement, you kind of have the realization that you're going to start to change your life right now. And that is almost an adventure in itself. You change your routines and all of a sudden you're starting to work out, which because it's not something you've ever done before, it's something completely new and it's not in your comfort zone. It is like an adventure. It's like an adventure because you're doing all these new things and hopefully it interests you. Your morning routine may have before, as I said before, been filled with things like scrolling and stuff like that. And now it's filled with meditation and maybe some like journaling and exercising and stuff like that. that in itself is an adventure. And self-improvement is like a reignition of the kind of childish sort of characteristics that you may have had, that people told you that you should just grow out of it. And when you kind of start to adhere to schools and jobs and stuff like that, you're not really supposed to be kind of adventurous in the modern world. And I think that's quite sad, because I've always been young and childish, and I've never really wanted to have the adventure beaten out of me, especially when it comes to physical activities and stuff like that. I mean, as I said in the kind of story that I did at the start of this video, I did sort of have my dreams crushed, but until recently, that's like all anew. I now really do want to go into entrepreneurship and go into business again, because since I've gone on self-improvement, that was also an adventure, and now I want to go on this other adventure, which is kind of earning my income, earning my living, and helping provide for my family in the future and myself in the future and stuff like that, and giving me the time and the freedom to conquer even more things when it comes to kind of physical activities. Because I've always been called kind of quite childish in the stuff that I kind of do during my days. Some days I'll just go to the woods and build dens and work out and stuff like that. And people think that's childish, because once you do that kind of stuff, once you do the sort of den building, just going to the woods and like being childish and like the stuff like that, people think that that's childish, because you're supposed to kind of have the adventure beaten out of you by schools and by full-time jobs and by the media and stuff like that. You're not supposed to carry on living out your childhood dreams, because that's not useful for big companies who want to make a lot of profit. And I want you, specifically you, the viewer of this video, if you're like young and you're a bit like me, I don't want you to ever have the adventure beaten out of you. I want you to continue to follow your passion and your dreams, and never let anyone influence you to go to school and just get a job that you may not personally want. I want you to always follow your dreams of being a sportsman, an actor, an author, an entrepreneur, whatever it is. They're your dreams, and it is of no one else's right to take that away from you. So I wish you well. I wish you to never let the adventure get beaten out of you. I wish you to go on adventures and conquer so many more things in the future, just as I plan to. And I recommend subscribing, because I love